Caesar's Palace, and then he had an ex-federal informant and Montaz bitch down there trying to put a bid on a casino to bring it to Broadway.
Today, Wednesday, a state board rejected the Times Square casino bid from Jay-Z in Roc Nation and those companies that I mentioned.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still.
And there's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, and the people who refuse to stand still. And right now, Jay-Z is not standing still. He's fuming. The man who built an empire from nothing, who turned a street hustle into $1 billion legacy, is watching his biggest business dream crumble before it even began. The frustration is real, the anger understandable, because imagine putting your name, your reputation, your billionaire aura on the line for a grand vision, only for the city to slam the door in your face. Jay-Z wanted to bring Las Vegas to Times Square, a high roller's paradise shining under neon lights stamped with his signature Roc Nation touch. He called it more than business, a cultural revolution, something that would reshape New York nightlife forever. And for a while, it looked like he'd pull it off. The media buzzed, investors lined up, and every headline screamed, Jay-Z's next billion-dollar move. But before the ink could even dry, the whole dream turned to dust. The city's advisory board rejected the proposal, calling it unsuitable for the heart of Manhattan. The Broadway League protested, arguing it would destroy the city's creative soul. Local residents joined the resistance, claiming it didn't belong in their backyard. What was supposed to be Jay's grandest play became his most public defeat. And if that wasn't enough, the universe, or maybe fate, had to twist the knife a little deeper, because just days later, his old rival, the man who once lyrically buried him, got the green light for his own mega project, a $5 billion casino in Queens, backed by the city and investors with deep pockets. The timing, too perfect to be a coincidence. That man was Nas, the same Nas who once dropped Ether and changed hip-hop history forever. The same Nas who Jay thought he left behind years ago. And now, decades later, their rivalry had found a new battlefield, not the studio but the skyline. Queens versus Brooklyn, Nas versus Jay, legacy versus ego. Queens borough president Donovan Richards couldn't resist rubbing salt in the wound. Standing before cameras, he said, "Cue the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again." That line went viral instantly.
There's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again. I just had to rub that in.
I'm still thinking about Jay-Z and Nas both being part of bids to get casinos in New York City. Do you know how big that is? Dropping the clues bombs.
That is amazing. That's really
I don't think people understand because they so rich and they be doing so much stuff. I don't think people get it.
Like, they both submitted requests for proposals for something like that on the same, well, everybody had to do it on the same day, but that's the architect of Reasonable Doubt and Illmatic, and they're both part of bids to get casinos in their hometowns in New York City.
Think about it. They both came from the hood.
That's
Nas from Queensbridge and Jay from Marcy, and
come on, man,
what they did with their music catalogs and how they turned it to big business with investments. Nas with Uber and Ring, and
who dating who is cute and who getting tattoos who is cute, but God dang,
the liquor brands, Roc Nation,
all of it is nice though, all of it. And this is great.
And where they are now in life,
this is going to be real great, even greater for New York. This is
Twitter blew up with memes. Fans started calling it Ether 2.0, the business edition. Comments flooded in saying, "This isn't just business, this is personal." And honestly, they were right. Jay-Z's entire persona has been built on never losing. From Rockefeller to Roc Nation, from Marcy Projects to Madison Square Garden, he's always been 10 steps ahead. The man doesn't take L's, not in public. So for him to watch his billion-dollar Times Square dream go up in flames while Nas's Queens empire gets approved, that's not just a loss, that's humiliation. Because Jay wasn't just trying to build a casino, he was trying to own Manhattan. The lights, the billboards, the tourists, the power. He wanted to plant his flag right in the middle of the world's most famous intersection and say, "This is mine." He wanted his name glowing across Times Square, a symbol of everything he'd built from the ground up. But instead, the city turned its back on him. His proposal was rejected. His reputation took a hit. And before the smoke cleared, Nas walked in and claimed victory with calm precision. Nas's approach couldn't have been more different. While Jay was pitching glitz and luxury, Nas focused on community, jobs, and local pride. He didn't chase Manhattan's glamour. He rooted himself in Queens.
As they obviously voted against the casino.
You know it. We met the standard and then some, and the only one with courage to stand up is the governor and the mayor appointees, and everybody else runs it.
Where it all began, he played the long game quietly, like a chess master who doesn't show his next move until it's too late for the opponent to react. And when the approval came, the details left people stunned. Queens Resorts, World at Aqueduct, wasn't just another casino. It was an empire in the making, a $5 billion project that promised to turn Queens into a new entertainment capital. There would be live gaming tables, poker, blackjack, sports arenas, luxury lounges, and even a sports academy endorsed by NBA legend Kenny the Jet Smith. This wasn't about gambling. It was about building a legacy, the kind that lasts generations. And Nas made that crystal clear. When he spoke at the press event, there was no arrogance in his tone, just confidence. The future, what he said, is not something you wait for. It's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. This isn't just a casino. It's energy. It's opportunity. It's hope for the borough. A second chance for some. A first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. Those words hit differently. They felt grounded, authentic, and full of purpose. Nas wasn't trying to impress the city. He was speaking to his people, the ones who grew up watching him turn struggle into art. And then, with that calm Queen's confidence, he ended with a line that sent chills through the crowd. With this project, the world is ours. You could practically hear the echo, a callback to his legendary line from It Was Written. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a reminder Nas had been playing this game all along. The internet exploded. Fans said Nas had just ethered Jay again, but this time with business receipts instead of bars. Memes flooded in. Jay tried to own Times Square, but Nas just owned the story. From ether to empire, Nas really aged like fine wine, and the timing made it sting even more. Jay had barely recovered from his project's rejection when the news hit about Nas's approval. The contrast was brutal, like watching a replay of their 2000s feud. Only this time, the battlefield was real estate and politics instead of diss tracks.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy. It's opportunity. It's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business. This is legacy. And now it's time to invest in us, because the future doesn't ask for permission. It moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
Jay has always prided himself on being untouchable, the mogul who turned hip-hop into corporate dominance. But suddenly, the narrative shifted. The same man who used to rap, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman," was now being outplayed by the one rival who never forgot how to fight quietly. And here's where it gets deeper, because if you know Jay-Z, you know this kind of loss doesn't sit right with him. The man is strategic. He moves in silence and strikes when people least expect it. When Rockefeller split, people said he was finished until he built Roc Nation. When critics said hip-hop billionaires didn't exist, he became the first. Jay has built his empire on comebacks. So while he's quiet now, trust, he's not done. Behind the scenes, he's watching, planning, and plotting his next move, because this isn't just business anymore. This is legacy warfare. Meanwhile, Nas is in full celebration mode. He's not throwing shade or mocking Jay, at least not publicly. He doesn't need to. The win speaks for itself. Queens is rallying behind him like he's their hometown hero. The headlines call him the King of Queens and the architect of a new empire. And every time his name trends, Jay's gets dragged right beside it. It's almost poetic. Two men who defined hip-hop in their youth are now defining the business game in their 50s. One through flashy expansion and global branding, the other through quiet ownership and local empowerment.
What was your thoughts when you heard the song?
This motherfucker, he going crazy. This motherfucker going crazy. Oh, Yo.
He was saying put Nas on the record.
Oh, and Jay and Nas were beefing at the time.
Well, he just won.
Oh, wow.
That was right after Ether. Yeah.
Well, who won that one to you?
Nas won.
Easy. Yeah. Why do we not remember that? Like,
because he just Nas won that battle.
Which records we in.
No, that's crazy. It's called Ether and someone for a reason. It's not called whatever.
Takeover was way harder.
But nobody calls. Damn, you really took him over.
Yeah, you ethered him. That ether, that shit that make your soul burn slow.
You got people there. Look. Who's best is to the actual, the fans' perception of the artist. Because if they're really passionate about you, then you're the best.
He left Rockefeller after that.
Yeah.
He said,
I rock hoes, y'all rock fellas.
Wait, we rock hoes, y'all rock fellas. And he's like, I think I got to buy Def Jam. I need a new label.
Jay wants Manhattan's crown. Nas is building Queen's kingdom. Their feud has always been about more than music. It's been about identity, pride, and the right to call yourself the one. In the early 2000s, Jay had the hits, the charisma, the hustle. But Nas had the soul, the grit, the poetic depth. And no matter how far Jay rose, that ether wound never fully healed. Because when the culture crowned Nas the winner of that war, it left a mark that money couldn't erase. That's what makes this new chapter so personal. Jay can lose to anyone in business and brush it off, but losing to Nas, that hits a nerve. It's like the universe reminding him that no matter how high he climbs, there's always one man who can pull him back down to earth. And deep down, Jay knows that. That's why insiders say he's been unusually quiet. No statements, no interviews, just silence. The same kind of silence that usually comes before a storm. Because Jay doesn't move out of emotion, he moves out of strategy. And if there's one thing everyone in the industry knows, it's that Jay-Z never loses twice. So while Nas celebrates his Queen's victory, somewhere in Manhattan, Jay is plotting his next power play. Something bigger, smarter, louder, something that will remind everyone that the throne is still his. The city may have chosen sides, but the war for New York's legacy, that's far from over. Because in this game of kings, there's no final checkmate, only the next move. And knowing Jay-Z, he's already made his. Now this casino drama, it feels way too familiar. You can almost sense history looping back on itself. Jay-Z once again sets up a flashy, high-stakes empire, this time in the beating heart of Times Square, thinking it's his next billion-dollar crown jewel. It's got his signature all over it, bold.
Those conventions like a How Can I Be Down or something like that, and I think Nas' album had came out, and every car that was driving by was playing Whose World Is This, and and the pianos and the drums and the whole cadence of that record had me like, yo, this is amazing. I want to make a
ambitious, untouchable, but before it even takes flight, boom, denied, dismantled, and dismissed in front of the whole world. And then, like some poetic twist written by fate itself, here comes Nas, cool, calm, and precise, the underdog from Queens, walking in slow, silent, and strategic, repping his borough with pride, and just like that, he walks away with the win of the year. But to really understand why this one cuts so deep, why fans are calling this Ether Part 2, you gotta rewind the tape all the way back to where it all began. Because before the billion-dollar bids, before the business empires and glossy magazine covers, it wasn't about power or politics, it was about pride. And that pride started decades ago with two young men and one city. Back in the mid-1990s, New York was hip-hop's capital. The streets were alive, and rap wasn't just music, it was survival, storytelling, and rebellion. And in the middle of all that energy, one name was echoing through every block and every radio: Nas. By 1994, Nasir Jones wasn't just another rapper, he was the chosen one. Illmatic had dropped like a thunderclap. Critics called it flawless, a lyrical masterpiece, a once-in-a-generation debut. Nas was young, hungry, poetic, and raw. He painted the streets of Queensbridge with words so sharp and vivid, they turned him into a legend overnight. Every rapper that came after studied him like scripture. He wasn't chasing fame, he was culture. Meanwhile, across the bridge in Brooklyn, a young hustler named Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was still fighting to carve out his lane. When Reasonable Doubt dropped in 1996, it was a masterpiece in its own right, cool, cinematic, and soaked in ambition. But here's the thing, it didn't hit the charts like Nas's debut. It was slept on. It took time for people to realize it was classic material. And that's where things started to quietly shift. Jay wanted to bridge the gap. He reached out to Nas, asked him to appear in the video for Dead Presidents. It was meant to be symbolic. Brooklyn and Queens united, old guard and new blood together, but Nas never showed up. No call, no warning, just silence. So Jay did what only Jay would do. He took matters into his own hands. He sampled Nas's voice on the hook without permission, just lifted the line, no conversation, no green light. A small move, but in the world of hip-hop, that's personal. And Nas, he noticed. He didn't say much publicly, but behind the scenes, that energy shifted. It wasn't war yet, but it was tension. From that moment on, Nas looked at Jay like a rookie trying to play in a veteran's lane. Jay looked at Nas like an obstacle in his path to the throne. And when two men like that share the same dream, conflict isn't far behind. Jay was ambitious. He wanted to be more than just a rapper. He wanted to be the name, the face of New York, the one people pointed to when they said hip-hop royalty. And Nas, he already was that, so Jay had to take it. Then came 1997. Biggie was gone. The throne of New York was suddenly empty, and the whole city was asking the same question: who's next? Jay saw his chance. He was dropping hit after hit, building his image brick by brick. The man was everywhere. Features, parties, business deals. He was moving like a future mogul. Meanwhile, Nas was struggling to keep his crown. After Illmatic, the bar was set sky high, and his later albums didn't quite hit the same. Critics whispered that maybe Nas had peaked. Maybe he'd lost his edge. And Jay, oh, he was watching. On tracks like Where I'm From, he started sliding in subliminals, subtle jabs, coded messages, little reminders that he was next in line. Nas, though, was no stranger to reading between the lines. On We Will Survive, he sent a message right back, hinting that Jay was trying too hard to wear Biggie's crown. The fans caught it instantly. Suddenly, this wasn't friendly competition anymore. This was a fight for the soul of New York. The city split overnight. Brooklyn versus Queens, Hustler versus Poet, Jay-Z versus Nas. And by 2001, all that silent tension finally exploded. It happened on one of the biggest stages in rap history, Summer Jam. Jay walked out to a roaring crowd and decided to end all the whispering. No more subliminals, no more coded bars. He went straight for the jugular. On Takeover, he called Nas out by name. No filters, no metaphors, just fire. He said Nas only had one classic album, that his career was done, that he'd fallen off. The crowd lost its mind. It was bold, it was ruthless, it was Jay's declaration of war. For a moment, it seemed like he'd won. The song was everywhere.
But I'm really sorry for other people around the other people involved. Because it was either that or we would see each other somewhere and it would be like
People were calling it a knockout blow. Nas looked finished, but then came Ether. When Nas dropped that track, it was like the earth shifted. He didn't just respond, he dismantled Jay piece by piece. It was personal, poetic, and surgical. He attacked Jay's image, his ego, even his looks. Every line hit like a punch. It wasn't just a diss track, it was an execution, and the culture felt it. When Ether dropped, the conversation flipped instantly. Suddenly, Jay wasn't the king, he was the target. The word ethered was born, becoming slang for destroying someone so completely that there's nothing left. That's how deep it cut. Jay fired back with Super Ugly, trying to reclaim the throne, but instead of keeping it clever and lyrical, he went too far. He bragged about sleeping with the mother of Nas's daughter, and that was it. The fans turned on him. Even Jay's own mother reportedly made him call Hot 97 and apologize live on air. Imagine that. The most powerful man in hip-hop, humbled by his own mom in front of millions. That moment told the world something important. Even Jay-Z could cross the line, and even Jay-Z could lose. From that point on, the energy shifted. Jay became the aggressor, Nas became the survivor, and for the first time, it looked like the giant had been humbled. But here's where the story gets interesting, because despite all the fire, the war didn't last forever. Years later, in 2005, Jay was headlining his legendary I Declare War concert. The name alone had people bracing for chaos. Everyone thought he was about to fire more shots, maybe even reignite the feud. But instead, Jay did something no one expected. He brought Nas out on stage. The arena erupted. People were screaming, crying, shocked out of their minds. These two men who once tried to destroy each other were standing side by side, shaking hands, performing together. It was bigger than music, it was history. And just like that, the feud was over. They went on to collaborate on songs like Black Republican and Success, proving that even enemies could turn pain into profit. They posed for photos, attended events together, and for years, the narrative shifted, from rivals to icons, from beef to brotherhood. But let's be honest, peace in hip-hop is rarely permanent, especially between two kings, because behind every smile, there's history. Behind every handshake, there's pride. And between Jay and Nas, that pride never really died. You could always feel it, that quiet tension. It wasn't hate anymore, but it wasn't full peace either. It was a cold war between two men who shared the same throne. And now, decades later, this casino saga feels like that old tension reborn. Only this time, the mic's been replaced by million-dollar contracts, and the battleground isn't the studio, it's the skyline of New York. Jay tried to build his empire in Times Square, flashy, global, unstoppable. And just like back in 2001, he moved first, talking big, confident he'd win. But once again, out of nowhere, Nas slid in quiet and strategic and stole the spotlight. History repeating itself, line for line. Jay's denial came quick and brutal. His billion-dollar dream shot down before it even started. And then, within days, Nas got his $5 billion Queens project approved. Fans online didn't miss the symbolism. Brooklyn fumbled. Queens carried. For anyone who lived through the Ether era, this moment feels like deja vu. Another round, another blow to Jay's pride. Only now, the stage is corporate, not lyrical. And for Jay, this isn't just another loss. It's personal, it's public, it's poetic. The same man he once called finished is now standing tall again, not as a rapper, but as a business mogul, winning where Jay failed. You can almost feel the city split again. Queens celebrating like it's 2001 all over, Brooklyn silent watching, Jay's pride, his billionaire armor, taking another crack. But here's what makes it fascinating. This isn't about rap anymore. This is legacy warfare. Two men who built their empires out of words now battling over land, influence, and billion-dollar development deals. The stage changed, but the stakes are the same. Who gets to be remembered as New York's true king? And you know Jay, he's not taking this quietly. If history's taught us anything, it's that he never forgets humiliation. He might stay silent for now, but behind closed doors, he's moving pieces, calling shots, planning a comeback. That's just who he is. The rivalry might have aged, but it's far from over. It just put on a suit and tie. Because this casino war isn't just about business, it's about symbolism. Brooklyn versus Queens, power versus purpose, ego versus endurance. And maybe, deep down, both men know it'll never truly end, because some rivalries are written into the DNA of the city itself. So now everyone's watching, fans, critics, the industry, waiting for Jay's next move. Will he take revenge in silence, build something bigger, louder, higher, or will he let Nas's Queen's empire shine and stay in the shadows, something Jay-Z has never done in his life? Either way, one thing's clear. Queens is winning right now, and Brooklyn's pride just took another hit. So tell me, is Nas really outplaying Jay again, or is this just the calm before another storm? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that with Jay-Z, silence is never the end. It's the sound right before the comeback. So drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and stay tuned. Because if this story's taught us anything, it's that kings never retire. They just wait for the next move. And Jay-Z's next move, it might just shake New York all over again.